Thor never misses his mark. But this time, he killed the wrong monster. Venom died saving Earth from a god-tier threat. And Thor struck first, without knowing the truth. The Avengers stood silent. Hulk walked away. But then Captain Marvel whispered. He broke the code. Thor was arrested. Not by force, by honor. And Superman flew the evidence straight to Iron Man's desk. The blast was god level. It split the clouds over New York in half. And when the smoke cleared, Venom lay dead, body torn open, white veins flickering like dying stars. Above him stood Thor. Stormbreaker dripped with black ichor. His breath came hard. His eyes still glowed with thunder. But something was wrong. There was no roar of victory. No celebration. No monster left to fight. Only silence. And one whisper that cut deeper than any weapon. He wasn't the enemy. The voice came from Peter Parker, crawling from the rubble, mask half-burned, face cracked with blood and disbelief. He looked at the body of his old enemy, now his ally, and then up at Thor. You killed him, Peter said. Venom was protecting us. Thor didn't move. Because in his heart, a heart forged across galaxies, he already knew. He'd made a fatal mistake. Minutes earlier, they were chasing a shape-shifting alien hive across the eastern seaboard. Venom had gone in first, as usual. Loud, violent, but effective. Eddie Brock had grown. He wasn't the creature who once hunted Spider-Man. He was Earth's Black Shield, the one who did what others wouldn't. But Thor saw the chaos and judged it the same. He didn't ask. He didn't confirm. He struck. And by the time anyone saw the real threat, it was too late. The real enemy was already dead, thanks to Venom. Thor had destroyed the savior. The fallout was immediate. Captain America stood stone-faced. Hulk disappeared into the woods. Black Panther turned his back. But the one who spoke first was Captain Marvel. She hovered above the broken rooftop, her voice sharp as shattered glass. He broke the code. Tony Stark stepped forward, arms crossed. You mean the unwritten one? The one that says we don't kill our own, without evidence? No, she said coldly. The other one. The one that says no god acts alone. By dusk, Thor was under arrest. Not by handcuffs. Not by force. But by the Avengers. He laid Stormbreaker at their feet, said nothing, and walked into containment. Peter cried that night. Not for Thor, but for Eddie. For Venom. The creature that had once haunted his nightmares died, saving his life. And no one would remember it that way. 3 days later, Superman arrived. He didn't ask for permission. He hovered above Stark Tower, holding something in his hands. A jagged, charred piece of alien armor, fused with DNA. Inside it, Venom's final recordings. Tony met him alone. Superman placed the shard on the glass table. He saw it coming. He knew they'd never trust him. Tony didn't speak, so he recorded everything. Every scream, every shift in the hive, every moment he bought us time. And Thor killed him anyway. Superman nodded. I'm not here to punish Thor. I'm here to deliver the truth. Tony looked up, eyes hollow. You just did. The case file was opened within the hour. Inside it, real-time footage of Venom shielding civilians while disguised as the alien. Audio of him warning Thor, they're not me. Don't strike. Data from Superman's internal scan. Thor's blow landed 0.4 seconds before the true enemy died from Venom's strike. Thor wasn't just reckless. He was too proud to wait. By morning, the media erupted. Thor strikes wrong target. Earth's Dark Guardian falls. Superhero divide grows. Who decides who lives? Venom, monster or martyr? Meanwhile, in his cell, Thor said nothing. Not until Iron Man visited him. Alone. You didn't hesitate, Tony said. I acted as warriors do, Thor replied, voice low. You acted without thinking. He was chaos. He was trying to protect us. Thor looked away. And what is your punishment, Stark? For building weapons that enslaved cities? Tony didn't flinch. I stood trial. I answered to the people. Now it's your turn. Thor stood, lightning flickering under his skin. I will not kneel before mortals. Tony walked to the door, turned. Then kneel before the truth. The funeral for Venom happened that night. No flags. No cameras. Just heroes. Spider-Man placed the mask on the casket. Superman gave the final words. He was more than what we feared. He was what we needed. And we failed him. That same night, the Clintar came. A silent fleet, orbiting Earth, watching, not to invade, to see what humans would do next. Would they honor Venom or erase him? The choice wasn't the Avengers anymore. Thor sat in silence. No chains, no cuffs, just 4 vibranium walls and one truth echoing in his skull. He killed the wrong warrior. Outside the containment chamber, the world was changing fast. The Clintar fleet, living vessels of the symbiote race, hovered in Earth's orbit, silent, still, watching. Their message was clear. Venom died protecting your world. Who will answer for this? The Avengers were split. Hulk refused to speak. Captain Marvel wanted Thor exiled. Black Panther called for trial by Cosmic Council. Peter Parker stayed silent, face shattered, heart heavier than his webline. But it was Iron Man who held the key. And it was Superman who kept knocking on every door to unlock it. Inside the war room, the atmosphere was suffocating. Dozens of heroes, old and new, gathered around the holographic display. The footage played again. Venom shielding children. Screaming, "Not me." Thor, lightning-charged, storm-eyed, striking before the words even ended. And then silence. Dead silence. Until Iron Man stepped forward. The universe doesn't care about our titles. Only our actions. We were wrong. Captain Marvel leaned in, fists clenched. Are you saying we lock Thor up? Make him a villain? I'm saying we face it. We didn't just lose Venom, we let it happen. Peter finally spoke, voice shaking. You didn't see his last look. He knew it. He knew we'd never accept him fully. Superman stepped up beside him. So what do we do now? The answer came from above. Literally. A Clintar emissary dropped into the middle of the war room. A walking mass of controlled black energy, fused with golden memory strands. Its voice sounded like millions whispering in harmony. The Hive requests the one who spilled the blood. You mean Thor, Iron Man said flatly. He will face the trial of 3 moons. And if we say no, the Clintar shimmered, then Earth loses the right to bond again, with any symbiote, forever. Silence fell. Not even Hulk blinked. Because that would mean no more Venom, no more second chances, no more bonded evolution. Later that night, inside his cell, Thor looked up as the door opened. Superman walked in. They didn't speak at first. 2 gods from different skies. One stained by mistake, the other holding the burden of truth. You believed you were saving the day, Superman said. I was. You believed Venom was a monster. He was. And yet, he died saving the very people you swore to protect. Thor didn't answer. So Superman dropped the final blow. Even gods must evolve, or they'll destroy what they swear to defend. At sunrise, Thor was escorted to the launch bay. No cuffs, no force, just choice. Trial of the 3 moons. It wasn't a court. It was a mirror. 3 alien moons. 3 tests. Judgment by memory, by fear, by truth. If he passed, he would return. If not, he would fade into galactic silence, nameless. Iron Man, standing beside the launch gate, spoke low. You hurt more than Eddie. You cracked this team down the middle. Thor looked back, one last time. Then let me earn what I broke. Meanwhile, on Earth things got worse. Footage leaked. A mysterious hand uploaded Venom's final moments to the global net. Billions watched the symbiote sacrifice himself to save children, scream warnings, beg for peace, and then get struck down. Social media exploded. Hashtag Justice for Venom. Thor, the Butcher. Symbiotes have souls. And in schools, kids began drawing Venom, not as a monster, but as a hero. Peter Parker returned to Eddie's apartment. Dust. Silence. A broken mirror. But on the wall, etched in symbiote residue, was a single phrase. Make sure they remember. Peter dropped to his knees. I will. On the Clintar moons, Thor faced the trial. The first moon showed him memory. Not just his, but Eddie's. He felt the hunger, the loneliness, the rejection, the desire to be more, the pain of becoming a monster and choosing not to stay one. Thor collapsed under the weight. The second moon showed him fear. Not his own, but the world's. He saw how civilians flinched when he raised Stormbreaker, how the Avengers whispered behind his back after Sokovia, how even gods were feared when they stopped listening. The third moon? Truth. A mirror. Not literal. Just himself. Stripped of armor, titles, hammer. And all it asked was one question. Why didn't you wait? And Thor finally answered. Because I still thought monsters looked a certain way. And now, Thor lowered his head. Now I know they don't. Back on Earth, the Clintar received the transmission. Verdict passed. With guilt. He would live. But not as a god. As a witness. Thor returned. No fanfare. No parade. Just him walking back into Avengers Tower and placing Stormbreaker on the floor. It will only be lifted when earned. Peter walked up, looked him in the eye, and handed him Eddie's mask. You want to honor him? Yes. Then next time listen. The truce barely lasted a week. Venom was mourned. Thor was judged. The Clintar declared peace. But beneath the surface, something was still burning. In the cold void behind Saturn's shadow, a lone Clintar ship broke formation. It wasn't rogue by accident. It was designed to go rogue. Inside it lived Zorzan, a pure-blood warbreed, never bonded, never tamed. While Venom believed in evolution, Zorzan believed in purity. And to him, Venom's sacrifice was the final betrayal. The humans killed one of our own, he hissed into the dark. And now they wear his name like a badge. He activated a memory spike, an ancient Clintar weapon encoded to burrow into planetary consciousness. Not to destroy the planet, to erase it from the hive's memory. Earth wouldn't die. It would simply be forgotten. And forgotten worlds never rise again. At Avengers Tower, strange things were already happening. Peter Parker sat at the window. No mask, just memories. He heard the sirens of the city. He felt the weight of the mask in his lap. But something was off. He looked at his phone. The photo of him and Eddie? Gone. Replaced by static. Hey, Friday, can you pull up Eddie Brock's file? Who's that? The AI responded. Peter froze. Then bolted down the hallway. In the lab, Shuri, Tony Stark, and Bruce Banner were already arguing. His name's being deleted, Tony snapped, showing blank files. Not corrupted. Erased, Shuri confirmed. This is symbiote tech, Banner muttered. Something Clintar level, but weaponized. Memory spike, Peter asked, eyes wide. Tony turned. You know about that? Eddie mentioned it once. Said it was the worst punishment. Worse than death. Why? Peter stared at the blank screen. Because it means you never mattered. At the Clintar embassy orbiting Earth, Superman confronted the High Emissary. One of yours went rogue. He's trying to wipe this planet. Impossible, the emissary replied coldly. Then, explain the fading records. The neural corruption. Even I forgot Venom's voice for 3 seconds yesterday. That got their attention. Only one carries a spike, the emissary admitted. Zorzan. Where is he? The room shook. Superman looked out the window. A thin black beam fired from the outer rim of the solar system. Target, Earth. Within hours, cities began forgetting. The first to vanish, Venom's statue in Central Park. Then people's memories of his sacrifice. Peter's voice grew hoarse, trying to remind them. Nick Fury had no idea who Eddie Brock was. Even the Clintar began doubting the file they had judged Thor with. It was unraveling, and fast. Thor stood on the roof, gripping Stormbreaker but not lifting it. He hadn't touched it since his return. Now he felt it whisper. But not with lightning. With guilt. Superman landed beside him. We've got a rogue Clintar trying to erase Earth. Because of me. No, Superman said. Because of what Venom believed in. And what you're about to prove. Thor finally raised his eyes. Then I fight not to avenge Eddie, but to remember him. The plan was risky. Shuri found a symbiote DNA shard preserved from Venom's last transformation. It pulsed with residual memory, compressed emotion encoded in organic strands. Tony called it the last echo. But it wasn't stable. If inserted into a host, it would trigger a full fusion event. The host would absorb every thought, every pain, every memory Venom ever had. Only one person could handle that level of bonding. Thor. In the chamber, he stepped forward. Peter looked him dead in the eye. Don't just carry his power. I won't. Feel it. Thor placed his hand on the shard, and it melted into him. The effect was instant. He screamed, not in pain, but in awakening. Visions flashed through his mind. Eddie's first bond, his battle with Carnage, his talks with Peter, his last scream as Thor's hammer struck his chest. And then, "You're better than me," Eddie's voice whispered. "So prove it." Thor's body glowed black and white, an Asgardian fused with symbiote memory. Not bonded echoed. He was no longer just a god. He was warden of the memory. And he was done letting people forget. The Clintar warned, "You only get one chance. If Zorzan finishes the memory spike, Earth is erased from our history. Forever." Thor tightened his grip. "Then I'll rewrite the ending." He flew beyond Jupiter. Zorzan waited, towering, spiked, armorless, a living force of ancient hatred. "I see the one who struck your ally now wears his screams." "I do. Do you carry his pain?" "I earned it." They collided in space. No ground, no sky, only memory and will. Every strike Thor landed, Zorzan's spike weakened. Every vision of Venom Thor projected, Earth's memory brightened. Back home, the statue returned. The files reappeared. Peter wept when Eddie's voice played again. But Zorzan was not done. He unleashed a psychic erasure wave. Thor absorbed it, all of it. Screaming, glowing, breaking. Until one final cry burst from his chest. Eddie Brock saved this world. And the wave shattered. Zorzan disintegrated into black ash. The memory spike gone. Earth remembered. Thor crashed back to Earth, shaking, drained. Peter caught him mid-fall. "You okay?" Thor nodded, barely. "I remembered enough for all of us." The world remembered Venom. But Thor didn't just carry memory anymore. He carried something alive. In the stillness of his recovery chamber, his body trembled, not from pain, but from something moving within. The shard Shuri, called the last echo, wasn't just a relic. It was a living imprint, a symbiote soul fragment. And now it was whispering, "You heard me, but did you really understand me?" Thor's eyes snapped open, glowing faintly black and white. Eddie's voice was no longer just a memory. Venom was resurfacing. Meanwhile, Earth's skies flickered. The Clintar fleet had fractured. Zorzan's death didn't settle the debate. It ignited it. Two factions formed. The Keepers, who honored Venom's sacrifice and believed in coexistence. The Originals, who saw Thor's fusion as an abomination and Venom's memory as a virus. The Originals wanted to sever all contact with humanity, burn the bond, and start over. And they sent a messenger. Escaran, the last war general of the First Hive, touched down outside Wakanda. He spoke only one sentence. "Return the echo or Earth falls." Iron Man called an emergency session. Superman, Peter, Thor, Black Panther, Shuri, and Strange joined via quantum link. "They want Venom's memory erased permanently," Tony said. "He's part of me now," Thor replied. "If they erase him, they erase what I've become." Peter leaned forward. "They're not just targeting Thor. They're targeting everything Venom changed." Shuri's screen blinked. "Then we protect it." "How?" Strange asked. "They have relics older than my entire order." Superman stepped forward. "We build something new." "A what?" Tony raised an eyebrow. "A bonded sanctuary. A home for evolution. For what Venom died to protect." In a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of an old shield base, they planted it. A seed. Literally. A fragment of the last echo, fused with Stark nanotech and Clintar biothread, placed in a vibranium core. It pulsed. Not as a weapon, as a living code, A chance to bond symbiotes and humans without corruption or control. A new beginning. Thor called it. The Genesis Core. And Venom's voice whispered again. Now you finally get it, Thunder God. But it didn't stay hidden long. SK-Ran attacked before dawn. Ripped through Stark satellites. Disarmed vibranium shields. Overloaded magical wards. He didn't want diplomacy. He wanted extinction. And he brought the Nullborn, Clintar-born shadows designed to consume bonded memory. They weren't soldiers. They were erasers. The Avengers regrouped fast. Thor, now enhanced by the Echo, stood at the front. Peter beside him. Superman in orbit, bracing the upper atmosphere. They're not attacking the core, Shuri warned. They're attacking you, Thor. Then let them come. And they did. SK-Ran descended like a plague of claws and shrieking void. Nullborn behind him. Thor raised Stormbreaker. But not with rage. With understanding. You fight to forget. We fight to evolve. He slammed the hammer into the Genesis Core. Boom. The energy burst wasn't destructive. It was restorative. Memories of every past bond flashed across Earth. Symbiotes awakened in stasis. Old hosts felt familiar energy rise. Venom's presence exploded across the battlefield, not as one being, but as a wave. The world remembered. Again, the battlefield was glowing. But this wasn't destruction. It was memory reawakened. The Genesis Core pulsed in the heart of the Earth like a second sun, and Venom's voice echoed through every hero's mind. Not haunting, guiding. This isn't my resurrection. It's our evolution. Thor stood firm, Stormbreaker in one hand, symbiote lightning crawling up his arm, the last echo burning inside his chest. Across from him, SK-Ran rose again, wounded, cracked, furious. You've poisoned the hive with human weakness. No, Thor said. I've strengthened it with human will. SK-Ran screamed and lunged. But Thor didn't strike. He opened his chest. The shard. The echo. Eddie's final imprint. It pulsed with light. SK-Ran clawed at it. And was swallowed whole. Not destroyed. Absorbed. Memories flooded him. Eddie's sacrifice. Peter's grief. Earth's chaos and love. SK-Ran fell to his knees. What have I become? Thor walked to him slowly. Something new. Something Venom died, believing we could be. And just like that, the Nullborn stopped. They didn't vanish. They changed. Their black forms pulsed, once with blue veins, and knelt. Back in Avengers Tower, the Genesis Core floated silently. Shuri's scans went wild. The memory grid, it stabilized. Balanced. Is he coming back? Peter whispered. No one answered. Until a familiar chuckle echoed through the room. From the core itself. Miss me? Peter froze. Eyes wide. Voice shaking. Eddie. Not quite. But close enough. The echo had merged. It wasn't Eddie's soul. It was the symbiote's essence reborn. A new entity. Not Venom, not Thor, but both. Shaped by sacrifice. Iron Man turned to Thor. You brought him back, but different. No, Thor said. We brought him forward. Superman stepped in. What do we call him? The core pulsed once. Call me. Origin. Weeks later, the Clintar Council returned. No weapons. No fleets. They saw Earth not as a threat, but as a template. Venom's story would be preserved. Not as failure, but as the first evolution. Thor walked alone to the cliff where Eddie once stood. Peter joined him, holding the old mask. He'd hate all this, Peter smirked. No, Thor said, cracking a smile. He'd hate the headlines, but he'd love the fight. They looked up. Above them, a streak of light broke through the sky. Origin, now watching Earth from orbit, protector of the memory bond. And within him, a whisper remained. Tell them who we were, so they can become who they're meant to be. The end.